This fish just don't want to stop, does it?
Fish doesn't want to stop. About half the line's gone on the reel.
Hope it decides to stop eventually. I've waited a long time for this. This is a big fish.
Well, there you can see you've got Dave in the foreground and you've got Andy in the background with Terence filming his fish, and beyond that you've got the Namib Desert. Two anglers fighting, big bronzes, and what a stunning backdrop just to finish the scene off. Magnificent. Well, there's the scene now. Andy has come down to the left to join Dave, and they're both standing together playing big bronzes. Dave's fish appears to be near a bit of kelp now. He's a bit concerned about losing it. We'll see what happens. Certainly both into hard fighting bronzes. There you go, we have three anglers in action now. Richard hooked up with a fish about 5 minutes ago, and you can see that Terence has just given the rod back to him. So we've now got three anglers in. I caught a bronzy about half an hour ago now. Then Dave hooked up, then Andy hooked up, and finally the third angler's hooked up as well. There we have three anglers into fish. Okay, Dave's fish is within gapping range now. He's finally into a nice bronzy. Best fish so far for Dave is 85 kilos. There's Terence. With his gaff. Okay Dave, do you want to talk to the camera? Tell me what you're thinking.
I'm thinking I hope I get this bastard in.
Any idea how big it is?
Depends whether it's a male or a female.
Yeah.
If it's a male, I'd probably say about 150 pounds, 200 probably. A female maybe a bit bigger.
Awesome stuff this.
I wanted to lose a few pounds.
There's Dave's fish in the surf. It's about 70-80 yards out. We might get a glimpse of it again. It's nearly beaten this fish. This is fairly close to gaffing range now. Terence might have a go for it. This is often the most difficult time, getting him through the last bit of surf by the edge of the beach. That's gone back out. Terence is going to go for him now. Fish has been gaffed. Fish on the beach, and in the foreground is Andy, still playing his fish. There's Dave's fish on the beach. It looks to be a fish of about 150 pounds. And of course Dave has to kiss them as well. Magnificent fish that.
Is it a male?
Female, I think. Yeah, it's a female. About an hour ago I had a fish about the same size, which was a male. Magnificent fighting fish. And if we pan round over to here, Andy is still playing his fish. But he's got it close to the edge of the surf, so...
Richard, on the fish.
And here's Terence maybe going for Andy's fish.
Both fish together.
But there we go. There's Dave's fish of about 150
Richard,
in the foreground.
Richard.
And in the background is Andy's fish. Fish of about maybe 120. Been a good day today. There's 3 bronzes we've caught, two 150 bronzes and a 120. Back in days fishing.
And so, another fantastic day's fishing had come to an end on the magnificent Skeleton Coast in Namibia, and the fishing had once again been magnificent. But there were many more fantastic days ahead of us on the world's #1 surf fishing destination, and one thing was for sure, there would be many more big sharks caught over the remaining 7 days to come. The next day we had a day off from the fishing, and we took the chance to take a closer look at Walvis Bay and Swakopmund. In the morning we took a visit to Swakopmund to do some shopping and see the aquarium, which is a must-see for any angling enthusiast. In the afternoon we took a tour of Walvis Bay, which is very famous for its lagoon, which attracts many species of rare wading birds and flamingos. Walvis Bay also has a thriving fishing industry, and it is the main harbour town in Namibia. Cape fur seals are also common in the lagoon surrounding Walvis Bay, and the morning's boat trip to Pelican Point gives you the opportunity to view these animals close up, and no doubt you will see the seals in their hundreds. In the afternoon we went to the diamond factory in the centre of Walvis Bay, and we were given a complete insight into how diamonds are cut and graded. Namibia is one of the largest producers of diamonds in the world, and this valuable natural resource is the country's second biggest economic industry. Later in the evening we went for a meal at a local restaurant in town to sample some of the local food and experience some of the nightlife in town. And the following morning we were once again driving on the desert road heading north to the Skeleton Coast to attempt to catch the big bronze whaler sharks.
Here's Dave McIntyre. He's into our first fish of the day. It's a bit of a windy day today. This fish has been on for about 20 minutes so far.
Half an hour, I'd say, easy.
I don't think the battle's over yet. The fish has been fairly close to the edge of the surf. We've had a sneak little glimpse of it. Dave McIntyre at long range, doing battle with his bronzy. And the backdrop is the wonderful Skeleton Coast. Fish been on now for about 35 minutes. No doubt his back's beginning to hurt a bit now. I've been so busy filming, I didn't realise that Richard has hooked one up as well. So you can see Richard in the foreground also playing a bronzy, and Dave in the background. And he's on now for 35, nearly 40 minutes. We haven't measured this fish yet. Tony's going to measure it in a minute, but we think it's going to be about 90 plus kilos. Yeah. be about 190 pounds, this fish, we think. So Terence will measure it. It's a cracking fish.
Definitely stocky at the moment.
There's a view of its,
quite well, didn't it?
its width as well.
Well, it's a Namibian bronze whaler. It's number 3 for me. And there's a few fish about that are showing in the surf at the moment.
Dave's big shark was carefully measured and estimated at approximately 95 kilos, about 210 pounds in weight. After taking photographs, the fish was carefully released back into the surf to fight another day. After filming the capture and release of Dave's 95 kilo shark, I continued filming Richard, who had been fighting his fish for about 45 minutes. We resume the action here with Richard towards the end of the fight, as our guide gets ready to gaff the fish near the edge of the surf. As Richard's cast attempted to get his shark within gaffing range, Andrew Gage also hooked into a big fish, which powered off like a torpedo into the open ocean, and he was now alone 200 yards down the beach with the big shark swimming out into deep water. And so, back onto Richard. He was now nearing the end of the fight, but fatigue was certainly beginning to set in. However, he continued in his quest to haul the giant through the raging surf and onto the beach. After a long hard fight, Richard's fish was successfully gaffed and safely beached, and I continued filming all the action as it unfolded before me. The shark was another big, strong, athletic fish of approximately 90 kilos, which is about 200 pounds in weight. You can see here the shark being carefully unhooked by our guide. This potentially dangerous procedure is best done with caution, and it is worth mentioning that the guide never puts his hands near the shark's mouth, and these potentially dangerous fish should always be treated with respect. Richard's 90 kilo fish was measured and carefully released, and within a few minutes Andrew Gage had his bronze whaler shark within gaffing range. We join the action here as Terence Clark comes to his aid to help Andrew beach his big, hard fighting shark.
There's Andy's fish. You'll have to excuse where I'm videoing it from. Probably a good 150 yards away from where this fish is being landed. I'm just about to video Richard take some still photos of Richard's fish. But anyway, later Andy I'll have some gapped. Only gapped in the dorsal fin, they're perfectly alright when they return to the water. There we go. Again, probably some camera shake due to the distance I'm filming this from.
This was Andrew Gage's last day of a 7-day trip, and his last fish was the most significant for him. And after measurements were made, his large shark was estimated at approximately 100 kilos, about 220 pounds in weight. Andrew's fish was carefully admired and photographed for the record and for the memories, and Andrew Gage had reached the 100 kilo barrier on the last cast of his last day's fishing. So, another hectic day's shark fishing had come to an end, and the results of the day included 3 big bronze whaler sharks, 2 of which were over 200 pound plus in weight. About an hour before dark, we packed the gear away and we headed back to Walvis Bay and the Courtyard Hotel for much needed beers and refreshments. The following day was day 9 of our shark fishing adventure, and we headed back north to the Skeleton Coast to pursue and catch more hard-fighting big bronze whaler sharks. The fishing over the first 8 days had been fantastic, and the Skeleton Coast had certainly lived up to expectations so far. But with improving conditions, the fishing action was now getting hectic as the bronze whaler sharks moved inshore and began to feed in numbers, and I was sure that again on day 9 the non-stop action would continue. After catching our bait-sized fish for the day, we moved to another bronze whaler shark hotspot, and rods, reels, terminal gear and bait were prepared for the day's bronzy fishing. After all 3 rods were cast out, Dave McIntyre soon hooked into the first big shark of the day, and we see him here at the beginning of the fight just after the shark has swum out approximately 300 yards into the open ocean.
You'll be late for your curry tonight.
No, you're going to be late for your curry, the rest of us are going. We'll bring you some for breakfast.
It's definitely the biggest carp I've ever hooked. Might have a PB here with a bit of luck. Tough guy. Almost gained a yard and lost 20 there. Good fish, Andy.
After 30 minutes of hard effort, Dave had his shark within 50 yards of the beach, and while the action unfolded, I also hooked into a big shark, which charged out into deeper water like a torpedo, and I was forced to hang on as the rod was almost pulled from my grasp.
Oh yes, nice shark Dave got on there.
Dave's fish was very close to the edge of the surf now, and I watched as our guide, Terence Clark, went for the fish with the gaff, and after 30 minutes of pulling, the shark had finally been beaten.
With Dave's fish, unfortunately not another badge. Beautiful shark all the same. Dave will probably want to go and have a lay down and recover now. Dentistry going on now, T-bar goes in. Deft twist, and out it comes, shark perfectly unharmed. Pictures, Dave with his shark. Darren's taking the picture. This has happened literally thousands of times in the past 5 years.
After Dave's shark was photographed and returned, the camera was back on me, playing another shark, which I was sure was going to be much bigger than Dave's fish. This shark really felt heavy, and my arms and back really began to ache as the big fish held its own 400 yards out in the raging surf. After 10 minutes of battling this fish, the shark began to kite over to the right, and after briefly handing over the rod to my guide, I stripped down to my t-shirt and then resumed the battle with the big fish.
Okay, this fish feels like a beast to me. I've had it on for maybe 20 minutes, but it feels so heavy. I'm really badly dehydrated, badly need a drink.
Your top lip looks frostbitten.
Go and get me something to drink?
Yeah, we'll do, yeah.
Playing these big bronze whaler sharks can be very physically demanding, and bronzy fishing must rate as one of the most strenuous types of fishing available to the angler, and this just had to be the most exciting big fish angling I had ever experienced. After 30 minutes of pulling, the fish was still a long way out and was perhaps still 300 to 400 yards out in the surf and refusing to come in. At this stage I was forced to adopt different playing techniques to ease the pressure on my back and try and gain some line on the fish. Later I had the fish at the edge of the surf, but it grudgingly held its own 50 yards out, refusing to come in as I applied as much pressure as I could. The shark was finally gaffed and beached after 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I was relieved that the fight was finally over. This was definitely one of the hardest fighting sharks I had ever hooked on the Skeleton Coast, and after a long fight my arms, back and legs were really aching. In the end, the shark was nowhere near as big as I thought it would be. It was a long fish, measuring 2 meters from the tip of the nose to the beginning of the tail, but lacked any weight around its body and was estimated at just under 100 kilos. Although this was not the biggest bronzy I had ever caught, it was definitely one of the longest, and what an amazing fight it gave me. The fish was released back into the ocean to fight another day, and I had caught yet again another big bronze whaler shark from the wonderful Skeleton Coast. For the remaining few days of the second week, the fishing action continued with a vengeance, and many more arm-aching battles were encountered with big, hard-fighting bronze whaler sharks. Dave McIntyre hooked into a real beast of a fish, estimated at over 150 kilos, but he was eventually to lose it after a battle lasting over 1 hour. I also caught my second 100 kilo plus shark of the trip, which rounded off the holiday nicely for me. The fishing on the Skeleton Coast had once again fully lived up to expectations as the world's premier surf fishing location, and the relentless arm-wrenching battles with these big bronzes will always be in my memories. But finally, after a 2-week adventure, it was time to return home, and on Saturday, the 30th of January, we got on a flight which took us across the Namib desert to the country's capital, and then onwards to the UK.